in Ottawa in 1995, November of 95, and I was the National Youth Director for this National Filipino organization.
Well, we first met in 95 in Ottawa, actually. We were both at a conference for this Filipino organization that we were both involved in. And the funny thing was is I knew all the people that she knew. She knew all the people that I knew, but we didn't know each other.
And I was planning this conference. I was making my speech actually when Reis walked in. He sat at the podium because I was the only seat left.
We were doing the conference. I was sitting up at the front, and then she had walked in. And there was still a little bit of the conference to go for that part of the day. And after that, we started talking, and we just met each other.
And he just sat there, he walked in, and I looked at him, he looked at me, and I knew right away that I wanted to meet this guy. I've never seen him before in my life. So I finished my speech. I managed to anyway. I kind of stumbled a bit because I was distracted by his presence.
We were both dating different people at the time, and after that, we sort of said, hi, how are you? Met, and then we didn't see each other for a few more months after that. When we were, again, meeting with the same organization, one of our common friends was in charge. We were still dating different people at that time, so that was it. That's all we've done, just meeting that way.
And a friend of mine introduced him to me after my speech when he started contributing for my conference, and that's how we met.
What had happened after we had met, and then later, we were both appointed Fokorama masters to the same Fokorama pavilion, the Nanaimo Filipino pavilion. And we had met again. At this point in time, neither of us really.
It wasn't, our first date was rather quite professional. He said we were meeting on the phone, by the phone, and he said maybe we should meet in person. We became ambassadors for Fokorama in 1996. This is a few months after we first met. And he said, let's meet over lunch. Actually, it was more like supper at 5 o'clock because he worked till 5. And we went to Elephant and Castle.
Met one time with the Elephant and Castle. Now that's not a good start. It's just, though we didn't really talk about anything that week, but I still brought my clipboard and a piece of paper in my pen just to make it look like it was going to be a one meeting.
We talked about Fokorama for about 5-10 minutes, and then the rest just, about ourselves. And then after the dinner, he said, I'll show you where I work.
Then we went off to my office, and at that point in time I had an office, I think it was on the 28th floor of the Project building in Winnipeg, and just looked out towards the west because that's where my office was.
It was sunset, around 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening, and we saw the sunset. We sat there just talking quietly, and
it was just beautiful, and we were just talking about we're just going to meet. So the first real date was a few days later on July 10th. I keep telling you July 11th, she's telling me July 10th, so I decided to settle on July 10th.
I knew something was happening very special, and we both knew. And then he asked me again for another meeting. And our first date, the official first date, was actually July 10th. And we went to see Independence Day. And we went out for coffee.
We went to see Independence Day. So we went to see that movie, and then after that we just drove around, talked, that sort of thing. And that was really the first date, though, again, that was still on the pretense that we should meet. So that was basically, I guess, our second meeting. I was trying to put it at that time.
The first kiss, all I could remember was I saw stars. And mind you, it was raining that day. There were no stars. There was no moon.
The first kiss was after we saw the movie. That was definitely July the 11th, because that was after the movie and we were driving home. And we were just chatting. And
he was driving me home, and all of a sudden he stopped at Safeway on Sargent and Sherbrooke. He parked there and he said, oh, let's talk for a while.
Basically what we ended up doing was parking at a Safeway parking lot on Sargent and between Sherbrooke and Maryland.
After talking there for about 5-10 minutes, he just reached out, came close, and it was like a magnet. It was like an electromagnetic induction. It was all physics, chemistry, and everything all together. Love, I knew it.
And it was just the most amazing kiss. And then at that point in time, I thought, wow, I've really found someone.
And that was the kiss. Magic.
That was just the most amazing time. That's why I picked July the 11th as the anniversary. And she's going to say on this tape, I know, Joy, you're going to tell me July 10th.
When Reis and I started talking about settling down, getting married in January of '98, that we didn't have any time in mind, any date in mind, and I thought it was just a casual conversation. We talked about getting married and having kids.
Went out on the 27th of February, and we sort of, Joy sort of knew the proposal was coming. We had gone ring shopping before, because I knew that if I would pick a ring, it would be the wrong ring. It would make a difference what I would do. I'd pick the wrong ring. And when we went ring shopping, I actually knew that because she said, oh, I like this one, and I was looking at another one, so I'm really glad we went ring shopping before.
And in February, on February 27th specifically, we had dinner at Ichiban, and it was snowing. It was a nice evening. We went for a walk at the forks.
And I picked a spot because my apartment overlooks the forks, and when I would look out in the evening, I would see these spotlights converge in the center in the sky. I thought, well, this is a nice place.
And we're just looking up, and it was just magical. We have the 4 spotlights. For some reason, nobody else was there, just the 2 of us. It was a beautiful evening. It was quite warm actually because it was snowing.
And then we ended up sort of walking through, and we got there underneath the 3 spotlights, under the center of the 3 spotlights, and she had turned around to just look around. And when she turned around, I pulled the ring out of my pocket.
And he took something out of his pocket, and he started going down on his knees. And I said, what are you doing? It's wet.
And when she turned around, I asked her, and I didn't go down on my knees because everything there, because of the snowfall, was all slush. So I just stood up and did it. That's why. Otherwise, I would have been soaking wet. So I said, okay, well, I better, stand up and do it as opposed to freeze the hypothermia and all that stuff.
And then he just took the ring out of the little box, and he said, will you marry me, Joy? And I didn't know what to say in the beginning, but I knew this is the person from the beginning. The first time I met him, this is the guy I'm going to be with for the rest of my life. And of course I said yes.
So that's what I did, and then she said yes right then and there. And then I knew that this was going to be the beginning of the rest of my life.
If I could say something to Reis, Reis made me so happy since the first time we started dating, and I just wish that I could make you feel the same way that you have made me feel, and just making me happy. And I hope that I could at least be the person that you wanted me to be, even though you haven't asked me to change. I just want to be with you for the rest of my life, and you've accepted me for what I am, and I've accepted you for what you are, and I hope that we can be together forever. That's all I wish. And the best thing that ever happened to me in my life, in my world, is you.
Joy, I want to tell you that I love you, and you are the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life. I'm so glad that I found you, and it sometimes seems like an accident how we ran into each other and met. But I can see in you the person I want to spend the rest of my life with, the person that I want to raise my children with, the person that I want to go home with, basically the person I want to be with. You are the joy of my life, you are my everlasting joy. And I'm so glad that you decided to choose me to be the rest of your life. And I thank God and thank his parents for letting me